In a tragic series of events that shook the community of Middle River, Maryland, grandmother and her granddaughter were found brutally murdered in their home last month. The victims, 75-year-old Ayanna and 29-year-old Autumn Harvey, were discovered during a welfare check that took a horrifying turn. The gruesome discovery was made when officers responded to a call for a welfare check at the residence. Upon arrival, they found the rear sliding glass door unlocked. Investigators believe the perpetrator gained entry through a window, as evidenced by a plastic lawn chair positioned beneath it. Inside, they made the grisly discovery of Harvey's body on her bed, later determined to have been stabbed multiple times in the head, shoulders, and neck. In another bedroom, they found Sirs, who had suffered blunt force trauma. Blood spatter was evident in both rooms, painting a picture of a violent and brutal attack. The double homicide sent shockwaves through the community and launched an intensive investigation. Within weeks, police arrested 36-year-old Brian Cherry, who now faces first-degree murder charges for the deaths of Sirs and Harvey. The arrest was the result of meticulous detective work, combining various forms of evidence to build a case against Cherry. One of the key pieces of evidence linking Cherry to the crime was surveillance footage. Investigators obtained video from the area surrounding the crime scene, which allegedly showed Cherry walking in the vicinity around the time of the murders. This crucial piece of evidence placed the suspect at the scene, providing a strong foundation for the prosecution's case. In addition to the surveillance footage, investigators used DNA evidence to tie Cherry to the crime. A cigarette butt found at the scene was tested, and the DNA recovered from it was reportedly matched to Cherry. This physical evidence further strengthened the case against him, providing a direct link between the suspect and the crime scene. Financial records also played a significant role in the investigation. Police allege that Cherry stole bank cards belonging to Ayanna Sirs and subsequently used them. Investigators tracked the usage of these cards and obtained surveillance footage from the locations where they were used. This not only provided additional evidence of Cherry's involvement, but also demonstrated a pattern of criminal behavior extending beyond the murders themselves. A combination of DNA evidence, surveillance footage, and financial records created a compelling case against Cherry. Each piece of evidence corroborated the others, painting a picture of Cherry's alleged activities before, during, and after the murders. As the investigation progressed, Detective Sergeant Sean Waterman made a shocking discovery. When he asked Jenny's family who the father of her baby was, they revealed it was none other than Officer Kenneth Blue, very same police officer who had found Jenny's body and was first on the scene. This revelation turned the case on its head. Now, investigators had to consider the possibility that one of their own was a married police officer, had not only fathered Jenny's child, may have been involved in her death. The Michigan State Police took over the investigation. Detective Sergeant Alan Ogg, the lead investigator. As they examined the evidence, red flags began to appear. Forensic scientists found several crucial pieces of evidence near the scene: a cigarette butt, a necklace charm, and a blood spot. DNA testing would later reveal that the cigarette butt matched Officer Blue's DNA. The necklace charm matched Jenny's DNA, and the blood spot also belonged to Jenny. Investigators also discovered that Officer Blue had been strangely silent on his police radio for about an hour and a half leading up to the discovery of Jenny's body. When his colleague, Officer Patterson, finally found him, Blue appeared disheveled and out of breath. A key piece of evidence came from Jenny's phone, where Blue was listed as Ken Cop BV in her contact. Phone records showed that Jenny and Blue had exchanged 3 calls on the night of her death, corroborating the planned meeting to discuss the baby. When interviewed by investigators, Blue initially denied having any sexual relationship with Jenny or being the father of her child. However, as the evidence mounted against him, he changed his story and admitted to sleeping with her once. The autopsy revealed that Jenny had not died by suicide, but had been murdered. Kanu Virani, the former Saginaw medical examiner, determined that Jenny had died from suffocation due to a chokehold. The ligature mark from the electrical cord was found to have been made post-mortem. Jenny's body showed bruising on her hands, arms, face, chest, and neck, indicating a struggle. One of the most damning pieces of evidence was a latex glove tip found on Jenny's clothing. DNA testing showed Blue's blood on the outside of the glove tip and Jenny's blood and saliva on the inside. This suggested that Jenny may have bitten Blue's finger during the assault, causing him to bleed. Blue's blood was found in numerous locations: on the extension cord wrapped around the roof rails of Jenny's vehicle, on her clothing, in her car, in his patrol vehicle, and on his uniform. When asked to provide his uniform, Blue initially gave investigators a set of clothes that appeared unworn. Second, blood-stained uniform was later found stashed under the rear seat of Blue's truck. As the legal proceedings against Cherry move forward, there are several factors that will likely come into play. Given the multiple charges across different jurisdictions, there are questions about how the cases will be tried. It's possible that the murders of Sears and Harvey will be tried together, while the other charges may be handled separately due to jurisdictional issues. The strength of the evidence against Cherry presents a significant challenge for the defense. With DNA evidence, surveillance footage, and financial records all allegedly tying Cherry to the crimes, his attorneys will have a difficult task ahead of them. They may attempt to challenge the collection and processing of evidence, or they might seek to have certain pieces of evidence excluded from trial. From a prosecution standpoint, the multiple charges and the pattern of alleged violence could be powerful in court. If allowed, presenting all the charges together could paint a picture of an individual on a violent spree, which could be compelling to a jury. However, the defense is likely to argue against combining all the charges, as this could be seen as prejudicial to their client. Given the severity of the charges and the potential for a life sentence, it's unlikely that Cherry will accept a plea deal. In cases like this, where the defendant is facing mandatory life imprisonment, there's often little incentive to plead guilty. Instead, Cherry is likely to go to trial, where his attorneys will challenge the evidence and hope for a possible reversal on appeal if he is convicted. The case has had a profound impact on the community of Middle River and beyond. The brutal nature of the crimes, particularly the murder of a grandmother and granddaughter in their own home, has left many feeling vulnerable and scared. The fact that these crimes were allegedly committed by someone who was already known to the criminal justice system has added to the sense of frustration and anger. Family members of the victims have expressed their devastation and disbelief. The loss of Sears and Harvey has left a void in their lives, and they are struggling to comprehend how anyone could commit such a violent act against a 75-year-old woman and her 29-year-old granddaughter. Family is likely to be closely following the court proceedings, seeking justice for their loved one. Community at large is grappling with a range of emotions in the wake of these crimes. There's fear, certainly. People confront the reality that such violence could occur in their neighborhood. There's anger, directed both at the alleged perpetrator and at a system that many feel failed to protect innocent lives. And there's sadness for the lives lost and for the sense of safety that has been shattered. As the case moves forward, it's likely to continue to draw attention and scrutiny. Legal proceedings will be closely watched, not only by those directly affected by the crimes, but also by those concerned about public safety and the effectiveness of the criminal justice system. The case may well spark debates about pretrial release policies, the monitoring of individuals with criminal histories, and the resources allocated to apprehending potentially dangerous suspects. The murders of Ayanna, Sears, and Autumn Harvey, along with the other crimes Brian Cherry is accused of, serve as a stark reminder of the potential consequences when systems fail. As the community mourns and the legal process unfolds, many will be looking for answers and pushing for changes to prevent such tragedies in the future. In the meantime, the focus remains on seeking justice for the victims and their family. The road ahead will likely be long and difficult as the cases make their way through the court system. For the families of the victims, each day brings a mix of grief for their loss and hope for justice. For the community, there's a collective holding of breath, waiting to see how the justice system will handle these heinous crimes. As more details emerge and the case progresses, it will undoubtedly continue to captivate and concern the public. The story of Ayanna Sers and Autumn Harvey is not just a tale of tragic loss, but also a call to action, a demand for a justice system that better protects the innocent and more effectively deals with those who pose a threat to public safety. Their memory now serves as a powerful reminder of the work that remains to be done in creating safer communities for all.